Saxon Math Course 2. We are in Lesson 23 today, and we're going to start on page 163. And our goal today is to do this: subtract mixed numbers. So, what is a mixed number? Well, in your first example on page 163, the example says there are 3 and 1/5 pies on the shelf. Okay, this right here, 3 and 1/5, is a mixed number because you have a whole and then you have a fraction. Okay, so 3 and 1/5 pies on the shelf, and the baker takes away, so subtracts 1 and 2/5 pies. How many pies will be left on the shelf? Okay, so let's start off with a shelf. And in your textbook, they give 3 pies. And then they have a 4th pie, which is broken down into fifths, and they shade in 1/5 because 3 and 1/5, 1, 2, 3, and 1/5 equals 3 and 1/5 pies. Okay? So there's your example. All right. So how are we going to take away 1 and 2/5 pies? Well, if we take 1 away, okay, you notice that they have in another section of a shelf, we're going to do that. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 4 pies. This one remains, okay? Because 3 and 1, we're going to end up keeping that whole pie, okay? Now, one of the pies right here gets subtracted out. So it's no longer there because we subtracted 1 and 2/5 pies. This one right here, this pie, whoop, is that one. It's no longer there. Now, the problem is we have to come up with 2/5 of a pie. Well, how do we do that? Well, we said that this pie can be broken down into fifths. Okay? And when we take out one pie and we add that, we can basically say that we have 6/5, right? So if we have, let me do it this way. Okay, 3 and 1/5. If we make it into if we make a 1/5 into 6/5, that means we have essentially this one right here, this whole fraction, and this one, we have one of them shaded. Okay, so here's another way to think about it. Okay, if we have 3 and 1/5 minus 1 and 2/5, what's 3 minus 1? Let's keep this in a row. 3 minus 1. Well, we know that is 2. Okay? However, we cannot do this subtraction problem. We can't take 1 away from 2 and just say it's n 1/5 pi. We actually have to do something that's a little bit different. We have to borrow that because we have to have a larger number on top here. So what we do is we borrow from this number, okay, this number 3. So in order to take each one of those circles, okay, let's break that down a little bit into it. Each one of these is worth a fifth, so a whole is 5/5, correct? So what if we eliminate this number and make this 2 and then add 5/5 here? Which means that now our problem looks like this: 2 and 6/5 minus 1 and 2/5. All right, so 2 minus 1 is now 1. 6 minus 2 is 4/5. So our answer is 1 and 4/5. All right. This part of it might be a little bit confusing. It is to me. I don't like thinking about it this way. I like using this method, which is a little bit different than your text. Okay. So let's look at example 2, which you see on 164. So you have 3 and 5/8 subtracted by 1 and 7/8. All right. So if we line this up and we say 3 and 5/8 minus 1 and 7/8. Let's draw our line here, okay? 3 minus 1 does equal 2. The problem comes in, again, with this 5. 5 is smaller than 7, okay? Which means that we have to change this. So we're going to borrow. We're going to take this and turn the 3 into 2. When we do that, we have to add 8/8, which now equals 2 and 13/8. See what I did? I borrowed a whole from this one. I reduced it to 2, and then 5 plus 8 is 13, and we have over 8. And then we can subtract our 1 and 7/8. Now we can do the problem. Okay, 2 minus 1 is 1. 13 minus 7. What is 13 minus 7? Well, it's 6, right? 6/8. Well, here's the deal. We can reduce 6/8. We can say it's 1 and 3/4. In other words, we divided each of those by 2, and we got 3 and 4. So our answer is 1 and 3/4. Okay? Pretty easy when you do it that way, I think. So let's do one more. I'm going to throw a little curveball where we have 83 and 1/3% minus 41 and 2/3%. Okay? Same idea. Let's rewrite. 83 and 1/3 minus 41 and 2/3. Okay, we can't subtract 1 from 2. So this is going to have to turn to 82, and then we add 3/3, which now equals 82 and 4/3 minus 41 and 2/3. And we can do 4 minus 2 is 2/3. That's the fraction part of it. What's 2 minus 1? It's 1. 8 minus 4 is 4. So we know that the answer is 41 and 2/3%. Pretty simple. Okay? When you look at it that way, it's pretty simple. One more thing. When we have example 5 where it says 100% minus 18 or 16, and 2/3%, here's a problem because 100% doesn't have a fraction to go from. So we have to think about it like this. We have to say 99, and because we're dealing with thirds, 3/3 is equal to 1. So 99 and 3/3 is 100%. Okay? So 99 3/3 minus 16 and 2/3. 3 minus 2, yep, we can do that. It's 1/3, and 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus 1 is 8. 83 and 1/3% is our answer. All right, that's how you do those problems. Again, I think you should be able to do them without too much of a difficulty. If you have questions, don't be afraid to ask.